Welcome to video number 4 in the Discover Vancouver Island website recreation project. I'm really excited to share with you what I've been up to. Although you won't see any changes on the website, I've been very busy behind the scenes this past week or two, and this is where a lot of the work actually happens. So let's get down to business and I will show you what I've been up to. So as you can see, I walked away from my computer for a little while this week and I went back to old-fashioned pen and paper, and this just works really well for me when I've got a lot of information and I'm trying to sort it and consolidate it and make sense of it. I'm a real left brain person, so I just get out a pen and paper and I go at her. So you can see over here on the left hand side of my table I've printed out my list of keywords, and I just sat down and started grouping and listing and mapping and just trying to make sense of everything that I had. And here's just a quick close-up. You can just see I'm just sketching. This is the extent of my right brain abilities here. This is a little chart just mapping out essentially how I want the site to look. So that's what I have been most busy with this week, all of this behind the scenes work that you can't see just yet. So let me show you where I went after this. So I sat down, I made lists, I grouped, I just tried to consolidate all of this data. I'm going to come back to this gorgeous photo in just a minute. So what I did next was I started to gather the information together in a few different documents that made sense to me. So again, because I'm left brain, it just really works for me to sit down and type or write and make lists that aren't that pretty. But if you are a right brain person, then feel free to make flowcharts and use pretty colors and do whatever works for you. The main point is we're laying the groundwork here and organizing so that we can move forward. So whatever works for you. What I did was I looked at all the information I had on the site, the pages that were built. I looked at my keywords, which tell me what people are looking for. And I also looked at what I knew people would want to know that they didn't know they'd want to know, because I have lived on Vancouver Island most of my life and many people haven't, so they don't know what to look for, but I do. And I took those three things and started mapping out how my site would work. So you can see as I scroll through this list, I've only handled a few sections, and this website is going to be very, very big. There is a lot to it. I knew that when I took it on, but this exercise helped me see just how much I'm dealing with. So along the way, I was rolling around in the back of my mind a few ideas for how I can accomplish this feat, because I'm only one person and there's a lot to be done. So I've come up with a couple of ideas and I'll share them with you a little bit later as I get to that part, because I don't want to get ahead of myself. But what I've essentially done here is just mapped things out and literally written myself notes. This section deals with blah, 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 blah. So I know exactly what I'm talking about. I don't know if you've ever had the experience of making notes to yourself and then going back a few days or a week later and not understanding what you wrote. So I try to be very clear with myself. So this is the big picture. There's a lot going on in this document. I call that my site organization document. And that's the more detailed list that came out of all of the consolidation exercise. And then I moved on to setting up my navigation system. In other words, how are visitors going to find their way around my site? What makes sense to them? What makes it easy to find? And how do I include everything that I know should be included? And this is what I came up with. And just to appeal to some of the right-brainers out there, I did try to use a little color in this document. So you'll see here I've developed my left-hand navigation, which is actually going to be my main navigation. And the header is in blue, so I'll have these sections. There'll be the welcome menu and the About Vancouver Island, and I'll have where to stay, what to do. And the green text will be my second tier pages. Those are the main pages on my site, and you can see they're grouped under each header. And then I decided for this website I'm also going to have a top navigation bar that will be a drop-down menu, just structuring the information a little bit differently, because some people are going to land on my site knowing, for example, I am going to be on the West Coast, and so okay, what's going on in Tofino? What do I want to see in Ucluelet? So some of this information will be different than what's in here, but much of it will be the same. It will just be cross-linked back and forth so that people can essentially access the same information in the way that makes most sense to them. So this was step 2, just putting that navigation bar together. And then where I went after that was I started making myself a to-do list, and this is just the very beginnings of it. These are the changes I'm going to be making to the site structure to accommodate my list, my detailed list, my nav bar, and my site structure that I made. So you can see again, I'm just being very literal with myself. Move this to that section, delete this page, find a good keyword for this page and move it here and replace it with that. This list is going to get very, very long, but for now it's a good start. So that's where I'm going with the work I've done on sort of the brainstorming, the behind the scenes work that is going to be so important going forward. And it really is important. I'm hoping that you'll see from this that there's a lot of information, and I know I'm covering it fairly quickly, but quite a few hours of work has gone into this preparation phase. And I feel that's really important, particularly with a very large topic like this, that I get a handle on it before I sit down to write. And if I do that, then in theory, the actual construction process should go a lot more quickly. So let me just show you one or two other things that I have been working on this week, along with the text that I've been creating. I did a couple of graphic things too. This is one of them. I know when I first took over the site, I mentioned that I had updated the look and feel a little bit. Not too drastic. Mostly I cleaned up the right-hand side of the site by deleting this right column and tidied up the nav bar a little bit, changed the look of it, and just did some minor tweaking to the header. I am planning a total overhaul of the site's look and feel. I'm just waiting a little bit because the platform that I use to create my sites is undergoing a really big upgrade right now. And in another week or two, it's going to be just so easy for me to go in and make very specific adjustments to my look and feel. So I'm going to be waiting for that to become available. But in the meantime, I just created this header that I kind of like. I'm no right brain graphic designer, but it's nice and clean. I think it's a little easier to read. The picture appeals to me, the colors a little bit more. So I just played with this, and that's going to drop in here and probably be the header for this site. And I'll be making some additional changes as well. So just wanted to show you that I am in fact doing things behind the scenes. And then I wanted to show you the last thing is a lovely photo I have. Okay, so this is just an example. When I said earlier that I realized the site was so big and there was so much work to do, one of the other pieces of groundwork I have been doing is just using my connections as a lifelong island resident. I realized, wow, I'm going to be making a lot of field trips here to take a lot of photos and visit a lot of places, but I'll bet I know a lot of people who already have some gorgeous photos. So I've been in touch with a number of people, and this is something I'll be doing ongoing, just looking for great photos of the island and just giving them a heads up and asking if I might be able to come to them and ask for permission to use some photos. And this is just one example. This is a lovely colorful picture of some starfish on a Tofino beach. So I've been doing some of this, and I'll be doing lots more because, of course, this site will be very highly visual with lots of photos and videos because people are going to want to see where they're coming to before they come here. So that's the bulk of what I've been up to this past week. Going forward, what I'll be doing in the coming week or two is looking more closely at my keywords, my list of keywords, and matching them up to existing pages to see if I can choose a better keyword, and matching them up to all the pages that I want to create so that, again, when I sit down to create the page, I know what the keyword is, I know what it's going to be about, I know where the page goes, and hopefully I know what photos are going on the page. So that will be covered in my next report, probably in about 2 weeks. Thanks very much for joining me for this video, and I'll look forward to seeing you on the next one.